Good morning. Thank you for the invite. Excited to be here today. And this is an opportunity to share insights on what I know and what has worked for me as a professional. So, thank you so much for the invite. Thank you, Aisha, and thank you to the team. I'm happy to be here. And I think I'll make the lesson a little bit more practical than than theory. But yeah, we'll talk a little, but I think seeing it in action makes better practicality for anyone than just um, just sharing slides. The slides are just basically going to be like a direction for possibly how we want to approach the talk, but it will just be mostly practical. Just me showing you how I usually go about getting clients. Even if you're not a freelancer, if you're a business owner, it's also a great way to like source out for clients as well. Sure, give me one moment. I'd like to share my screen. Sorry. All right. So thank you. I believe that my screen is visible. So we're basically talking about how to get clients, right? How can you get clients? Who are clients specifically? So your clients are people that you want to do business with, or I would say people that you're currently doing business with are clients. Until you've done business with them, they are not your clients, right? Most likely they are prospects or the people you are trying to bring into whatever funnel that you have created as a business or a freelancing person. So there are a couple of things I'll just go through which we are most familiar with. Like I said, I would just like us to be as practical as possible. What are the basics you need to know, which I believe most people already know if you don't already know that, is pick a niche. So, for instance, if you are UI UX designer and you are freelancing, that's a niche already. If you do SEO, search engine optimization, that's a niche. So you are specific as to who you are serving in an industry or what service that you're offering. If you say you're email marketing specialist, so that's a niche. If you say that you are a salesperson, right? Or a tech salesperson, let's be a little bit more specific, tech salesperson, maybe sales software. That's also specific. So when you are specific, it is easier for you to also look for clients. Although being a generalist is great, but usually when it comes to freelancing, people are always looking for a specific need out of what they already have. Second thing is build a proof portfolio. If you go to apps like maybe Upwork, Fiverr, and then the likes, they usually ask you for proof of work, your portfolio, what you've done, right? So if you don't have one, you definitely have to build one. If you don't have at all, how can I build one? You can build one by working for free for people, at least if you're looking for. So when you work for free, you can ask people for testimonials. You can tell them, please share a testimonial with me, or you can work for them, take out what you've done for them and put it into your portfolio, right? There are platforms that can help you to build a portfolio very fast. Claude can help you to do that. Lovable can help you to build it. You just need to give it the right prompt and it will build something very beautiful for you. You can use that to showcase what you've done as a proof of your skills because sometimes people will need to ask you, what have you done? That's the first thing. If you go for an interview, the first thing they will, aside from asking your name, introducing yourself, what have you done? So that's proof. Then also you need to have how you want to pitch to your clients. We'll talk more about this later. How do you want to pitch to your clients? What's the first thing you want to tell them? Remember the talk where they say, oh, if you meet Dangote in an elevator, right? What will you tell him in the elevator if you meet Dangote? You just have one, they tell you, you have 30 seconds with Dangote in the elevator. What kind of pitch are you going to give to him, right? So those kind of things. Um, then also we look at how you can, other ways you can get your clients, specifically referrals and through network. So what are referrals? Referrals, I know you, you know me. I think that's one of the easiest. But again, you can't get a referral if you've not done good work. You need to do quality work. If you've not done any work at all, you can reach out to somebody to, like I said earlier, you can reach out to somebody, work for the person, and use that to build your portfolio or a proof of work or proof of concept, right? That way, people can refer you, which is important. Your network, maybe people you've worked with previously before, right? They will also help you as well. And also, you need to look at content. Well, if you don't, so when it comes to content, you don't necessarily have to show yourself on video, right? If you are like many people that don't like doing videos, you can always go for text. A lot of platforms support text. IG supports text if you do carousels. Facebook, you could do text. Twitter, you can do text. LinkedIn, you can do text. So if you say you don't want to show up or you don't think that, you know, your people will like your face, so you could go with text. So text, what can you do when you share content using text? You talk about probably what you're learning at that moment. If you just started SEO, you probably want to talk about the things that you started learning about SEO that you didn't know before. And you also want to talk about maybe what one or two lessons that you probably learned that's been key to you. So that way, when you keep talking about it, people keep seeing you as, oh, okay, I think this person is learning and this person understands the process. There's what we call building in public that people talk about. So building in public too is also for freelancers, aside from founders and people that own businesses. You're also building in public. The journey that you're taking, people are saying. So from the time you started your SEO course to the end of your SEO course, you took people through the journey and you shared your certificate. People will reach out to you. I can remember there was one year that I did a digital marketing course and I just shared the certificate on LinkedIn. And I think I had three people DM'd me and they were like, oh, do you want to do the I have a digital marketing role for you? You know. So at that moment of posting, it might seem like it doesn't make any sense, but there are people watching you. It's just that the amount of people watching you and don't comment is more than the people watching you and commenting, right? The, the real one thing I found out that the real people who need your services, they don't comment, they don't like, they might not even be following your page. I do a lot of Facebook and Meta ads, and what I see is that the people that have money that actually reach out to you to DM you are the people who have probably 5 followers or 10 followers. They don't even comment. They're not even following you. So if you think that is about how much engagement that you have on your content or how much likes, you might not go too far, right? I have seen a CEO walk up to me. I was like, "Oh, I like your content. I'll be following your content." But like, you don't comment, you don't like. He said, "Yes, I just see it, but I like what you do." So that's a typical example of how the kind of clients that you want see you, but so if you say you don't want to post, oh, they are not engaging my post. Remember, you're not doing it for your friends and family. You're doing it for a third party person. Your friends and family would not necessarily buy into what you're doing. And for all intents and purposes, for lack of a better word, they've seen you finish. Is it not you that used to wash plate yesterday? You know, why should I do business with you? So what are the freelancing platforms that we have? Upwork, Fiverr, Contra, and the likes. So I have happened to have used some of them before, right? And they've been helpful just to test how they work. But those are not my main method of reaching out to people. So other ways that you can go about it, once you are able to establish who your prospect is and maybe get a response, is to do calls, discovery calls, have a set up conversation with your prospect, send out a proposal, and ensure that you deliver more than the expectation so that they would refer you. So those are key things. But I'd like us to be a little bit practical. So um, I don't know. I wanted to ask someone here what their role is. Can I have somebody let me know what their role is? Like, can I have in comment section? What do you do? Somebody, I want to use that as an example for what I want to do right now. Is there anybody? Your role. Or let me just take an example. Let's say for instance I am a web developer. Yeah. So I'm a web developer and I am looking for clients and I don't have any clients right now. And maybe possibly I have signed up on Upwork, I've signed up on Fiverr and I'm not getting any response. How do I go about getting clients? Typically as any freelancer, you have to think like a salesperson because you are basically selling yourself to people. So, how do salespeople prospect? How do they get clients? How do they get leads? So, a salesperson will most likely do a research. So, let's say I'm a web designer. I don't know if the other part of my screen will show. Sorry, coming. Give me a moment. I want to use. I'm sorry. Please give me a moment. I'm going to share another on my tab. Okay, so typically, I use ChatGPT. Some people use Claude, maybe based on preference, but I use ChatGPT most of the time. I don't use, but I use Claude maybe sometimes, just maybe just to just like cross reference what I do. So, for instance, I'm a web developer. First thing I'll need to do is because I want to code call people or I want to code message somebody, right? I want to reach out to somebody. So I just typically just go to I said I am a web developer and I need new clients for my business. I want to send out an email pitch to prospective clients. I don't want the pitch to be over salesy. I don't want the pitch to be over salesy, but just enough to start a conversation. Just enough to start a conversation. So starting out with what my pitch would look like. So because you want to reach out to people and you want to ensure that you are not so there's a lot of I see a lot of people send me DMs even for the business side business that I run, they send a lot of DMs that they tell you, oh, your social media page is not good, your designs are bad. You can't tell your prospect that your designs or you're trying to reach out to me and you want me to use your service as a social media or maybe a designer. You can't tell me that my current design is terrible and bad, right? It doesn't make any sense. If you are driving, for those people that drive, when you go out on the road and maybe you see all these agberos and the likes, they just come to meet you. You know they need money from you, but what did they do first? They first hype you. They say, ah, ma, sir, now you be a dogo, stuff like that. And they hype you up. And at the end of the day, maybe you give them like maybe 1,000 naira or 500 naira because you've hyped them. So your first approach in cold DMing people would not be to pick out the things that they've not been able to do successfully because obviously they are running a business without you and they are doing fine. If their business weren't doing fine, you wouldn't have discovered them. Or if they didn't put their business out there, you wouldn't have discovered them. Sorry, I think my system is a little bit so you wouldn't have discovered them. But now that you've discovered them, you need to also ensure that you hype them. So usually, first things first is to hype the person that you are trying to reach out to. Oh, my system is sorry, I don't know. My ChatGPT is slow. All right. But I think I'm going to move to something else while we wait for it to load, or I would probably refresh it to see what the issue is. Okay. So while I try to generate my pitch, what I do is, for instance, I'll go to LinkedIn. I'm going to use my profile to give an example. I'll go to LinkedIn, and then also, like I said, you need to think as a salesperson. There are two apps I usually use to prospect for to get people's emails. I use Apollo and I use Lemlist. But Lemlist is usually the popular one for me. It's easier to use. So for Lemlist, so Lemlist is a lead. You can use it to acquire leads. You can use it to pull out people's emails from their social media platform, especially LinkedIn. So what you do is link your Lemlist to your LinkedIn profile. It usually comes with, I think, 300 credits. So with 300 credits, I think you can get about 150 emails that it will help you to pull from LinkedIn. So, for instance, still using the example of a web developer. Let's say that I am a web developer and I am looking for a fintech. Sorry, Hmm. I'm looking for a fintech in London that I would like to work with in their website. Give me a moment. I'll just use my profile as an example. So let's say I am looking for a fintech in London, right? Fintech in London. Hmm. Let's just use a random fintech. Let me see, Lemfi, for instance. And let's say I happen to have gone to their website. I had seen that they probably need to change their website or something like that as a web developer. So I search
Sorry, sir.
Lemfi on. Sorry.
Sorry, sir. Yeah, just before you continue, I think some people are in the waiting room. I dropped a message for them. We are the host now, so you
Oh,
have to
okay.
let, yes.
Oh, okay, okay,
Yes.
okay. I think I have let the person in. So
Okay,
yeah.
thank you, sir.
Okay. So I search for the company that I'm looking for. Let's say Lemfi is the company that I'm looking for. I just go to Lemfi. Who should I be reaching out to as a UI and UX person? I probably want to reach out to the CEO. So I go to people, for instance. I go to people. Um, I first check, are you my first connection? Right. First connection are people who you are connected with that work in the company. So it's showing me that there are some people here that work or they have worked there, but those are not the people that I'm looking for. I'm looking for the CEO, the Chief Operating Officer in Lemfi. So I would search, sorry, CEO Lemfi. Mm, okay. So there's a CEO here, right? And I click on it. Hopefully it's the same Lemfi. And okay, yeah. So you can see that I am not connected directly to the person, but because I am a UX person and I'm trying to reach out to the CEO and I'm trying to like pitch my services, so I would contact info usually. But because the person is not my first connection, I don't see contact info. And if I'm not subscribed to Sales Navigator on LinkedIn, I would not see that information. But if you are logged on to these apps that I talk about, right? and you have credit, you see that I have some credit on my app, right? That I use to, although there are so many apps you can use, but these are like the easiest for me. So as you can see, if I want to generate this person's email, let me just say this, it would find the email for me, right? If you use the likes of ChatGPT and Claude to get email, it will just give you contact address of, sorry, it will give you contact address of the company, like contact us as this thing, and of course you can see it has generated this person's email for me, and I just basically copy it and paste somewhere, right? So this is an example, but I wouldn't stop there, right? I would also go ahead and research about Lemfi. I would just go to my chat GPT and say, oh, let me go back. Sorry, let me stop this. I will go back to my chat GPT and, sorry, one moment. I'll go back to my chat GPT and tell him that, okay, him or her, anyway, that, um, do you know, do you know about Lemfi? So I wait for you to generate like results for me, because again, because you are trying to reach out to that company, you also want to get real time information about who that company is, what they've done. So that way, when you are writing your pitch will make a total sense. I don't know, my ChatGPT misbehaving, seems to be misbehaving today. Um, mm, mm, mm. My ChatGPT is misbehaving. No, I think I'll show something else, maybe a practical example of something that I have done. So basically, that's how you get an email, for instance, and you reach out to somebody. But now, after getting the email, you would need to structure your message in such a way that you get a response. So I'm going to give us a typical example of what I'm going to give us a typical example of what a structured message looks like. I'm going to open my email. Okay. So I believe that my screen is showing. Oh, okay. All right. So typically, right, this is an example. So I'm trying to reach out to. We have an event in November, and I'm trying to reach out to some particular prospects. I've already gotten their email already. That's one thing that I have done. I've gotten their email already, and the next thing for me to do is compose the content of what I am sending out. Right. Usually, like I said, if you are reaching out to somebody, they don't know you before. They've never seen you from anywhere. Why should they listen to you? Why should I listen to your email? Like, who is this random person that's coming to mind? You know how email is, and sometimes, even as we are seated, I'm sure that some of us have deleted emails that don't concern us, right? So what I do is I use the first sentence to, I don't even do how are you, how you doing, trust you are doing well. Those are irrelevant for someone that doesn't necessarily know you, right? So what I do first is that I identify something about them that probably in the news, or something that's happened in the news. Now there are some apps that help you, but those apps are paid. That means that you have to do the research by yourself. So maybe somebody does raise money right now. You want to start with the first sentence and say, oh, okay, last week I was scrolling social media. I saw that you just raised X amount of money, right? I'm really proud of what you guys have done. It's exciting, and I see the amount of work and the amount of attention your business is doing. So, like I said before, you want to hype them in your first sentence. You want to talk about how amazing the work that they have done is great, right? Like I said, you want to catch their attention. You don't want to start with, oh, I noticed that your your brand is poor. I noticed that your website is terrible. You cannot convert customers. No, you first praise them, talk about how their industry is and how much of the work that they have done in the industry. If you even have numbers to quote, it will be great to put the numbers in the first phrase. Then you can go ahead and introduce yourself and say, oh, my name is so person. Um, this is what I do, and this is how I think that what I do would help you, right? If you have your portfolio like I did here, like I added my website, add my website, add portfolio, and then you end it with something like, oh, I would love to schedule a brief conversation with you if you're interested in exploring. So you are not forcing the person to take your services, right? You are only giving the person an open-ended information and saying that, oh, I want to explore this conversation with you. Can we schedule a call? Remember, the goal of you sending out a cold email is to get a response. That is the goal. It's not necessary for you to sell on the main message, right? If you see me on the road, if you're walking on the road and someone just comes to hand a flyer to you, you know how annoying it can be. The person didn't greet you, the person didn't even say, oh, how are you doing? How are you feeling? You just jump, you just throw your flyer, and maybe that day I'm having a bad day and I'm not even interested. So most of the time you have to come in subtle with your message. So look for something in the industry that you can take as the first front, as your first phrase, introduce yourself and see how what you do has been beneficial to other people, and share your portfolio with the person and ask them to schedule a call with you if you like, if they like, or add a link to a call. Now, this message that I shared with with us here, I shared it this week with somebody and I got a response, right? And that is what most B2B companies use to get clients. So think about yourself as a freelancer, as a business. So you run a business. And as a freelancer, every time you need to also have a client every single time, because what you are doing is not permanent per se. Some are contract based, some are 1 month, 2 months, 3 months. That means that before the end of your current contract as a freelancer, you need to also be looking for another person, because if once you end, you will not be able to sustain yourself if that one ends, if you don't have another one. So as a freelancer, you're just like a business, you need to constantly be looking for leads and looking for how you can contact them. This is one way to go about it. Another way to go about it is, for instance, using Instagram, right? Instagram allows you to do the boolean search like I did on LinkedIn, right? Where you search for the company that you want, or if you even if you don't know the company, you can just go to ChatGPT. Unfortunately, my ChatGPT refused to work. Just go to ChatGPT, just type top 50 companies in fintech in Nigeria. ChatGPT will generate the top 50 companies for you. You can now say, ChatGPT, write one message each that is unique to each of these companies, each of these 50 companies, that I can send them a DM on Instagram, right? If you want to go deeper, you can say, generate for me all the chief operating officer and the founders of this company. It will generate it for you. But the only thing that ChatGPT will not generate for you is that it will not generate the email, right? So that means that you need to look for tools for you to generate the emails that you need for you to send those messages so that you can get clients. That is another way you can go about it. Some people have automated all these processes. It probably works for them, but I found out that for Nigerian customers, you need to be very customized to be able to get what you need from them. But if you are reaching foreign people are used to using emails for engagement and emails conversations. I think Nigerians were still between WhatsApp and Instagram DMs and then the likes, and then maybe for corporate organizations, Slack, right? People are still not, conversant with, they're not still as receptive as you would if you are sending out an email to them, but you still have to try that. So that's one way that you can go about it. Remember, the goal of as a salesperson, the more people you reach out to, the more chances of you converting. You can't reach out to 10 people and say, oh, no client this month. 10 people is not enough to get a client. The average conversion for 100 people that you reach out to is, if you have a good conversion rate, 20%. That means that for every 100 you send, for a fantastic conversion rate, you have 20%. 20% is 20 of 100, right? 20 people. And out of those 20 people that probably respond to you, 10 of them might not go ahead with you and say, oh, I don't need their services now. Maybe later, maybe out of, love, they decide to respond. The remaining 10 people, maybe you jump on a call with them, have a conversation, prepare your proposal. Before you know, you might end up with two people. So that means that you need to increase your surface area to be able to get or to be able to succeed when you're acquiring customers. So the more people you reach out to, the more your chances of getting clients at every interval. So I'll say if you are reaching out to 10 right now, I don't think you will get anybody. If you're reaching out to 20, maybe you won't respond. If you do 30, two response. So increase your surface area, increase the number of people that you're trying to reach out to, and your conversion rate would increase. That means you have more people to speak with and more people to talk with. So it's always good that you are able to think like a salesperson as a freelancer. So this is one way to go about it. Another way to go about it is that if you don't have a profile on Upwork, or sorry, if you don't have a profile on Upwork, Fiverr, and then the likes, you need to create a profile, right? But creating a profile doesn't stop. It doesn't stop at creating a profile. As I said earlier on, as a freelancer, you need to think like a salesperson. So if you have created your profile, you are going to need to update your profile. And updating your profile means that you need to put the niche that you are working with. So for instance, if you are a GTM engineer, right? Because some of the things I just talked about is go to market for B2B. So if you're a GTM engineer, you most likely, just as you have on your LinkedIn when you have your headline, you're going to put your headline GTM engineer, and then you're going to search for possible jobs. Now, the upside of Upwork is that you need to buy credits, right? And the credit allows you to bid for jobs because you're going to be bidding against other freelancers as well. But the people that get invited for interviews are the people that are able to show their portfolio and how much they want the job. So when you are bidding, you'll be asked to share examples of what you've done or portfolio of what you've done. Now, your portfolio also has to match the requirements for the job that you want on Upwork. So some of the things that I do as well is I also I also take out the job description, right, and pick out the focus, the things that are important, and then I write a draft, and then I take it to ChatGPT or Claude, and I tell Claude to create a version for me that fits that particular job requirement, and then I add dates, and then I add my portfolio, and then I bid, right? If you've done a very good job in prompting and in drafting your interview message, the message that allows you to get an interview, you are going to get a request for an interview. Or if it's not an interview, or if this person is employed straight away on Upwork, you get an interview and you get a job. But you can't just rely just on Upwork on Fiverr. Remember, like businesses, there's high days and there are low days. So that means that a month can go and you might not get any client on Upwork. So what else will you do? If all these other methods that didn't work, you go to social media, right? One of the things I shared earlier on social media is that I said build in public. And I said you don't necessarily have to be on video camera. If you don't want to show your face, that's fine, right? You can do text, but you also need to build your personal brand on social media. It would also help you to acquire clients. How do you do that? You can choose anyone that you like. And what are the ones that you can choose? I would say the easiest for you, depending on what you do in your industry, I'll say between LinkedIn and Twitter, and between LinkedIn and Twitter, you can use any one of them to like build out, because they your your what's it called again? Your there's probability or there's chance for you to go viral on LinkedIn and Twitter than on any other platform, right? So I'll place my bet, if you ask me, on growing your profile on Twitter or LinkedIn, because your ability to go viral is higher than all the other platforms. And TikTok and Instagram require you to have videos to take pictures. Maybe you're like me, you don't like taking pictures, right? Or maybe you are camera shy like me, so you don't want to be doing videos. So just go to X or go to LinkedIn, share lessons about things that you've learned or things that you are learning or in the process of learning, right? And one thing you also want to do is that aside from sharing things that you know, you also want to be vulnerable. And when I mean vulnerable, I don't mean sharing about your personal data about your life, your family. No, that's not being vulnerable. That's like sharing security. Your, that's like opening yourself to security issues, because you can't be sharing your street address, right? It makes no sense. You can't be sharing your child's school uniform, including, those are things that you don't want to expose yourself to. But you can share just enough. You've had, maybe there are lessons you've learned from working in a team, from volunteering. Those are relatable things that people want to listen to. You can share that, really sharing other things that you are doing. So you can subscribe for Twitter Blue, the blue tick. Yeah, Twitter blue tick is, I think, 6.5 or so, right? Twitter blue tick 6.5. Even though you don't do Twitter, there's a smaller one which is 3.5 or 3.9. It doesn't come with blue tick, but your engagement would improve, right? So when you see content around areas of your focus, so for instance, if you're in marketing like me, once I see a content about marketing, I just quote, I reply. And once you do that, other people that are following those people get to see, oh, okay, this person is an expert in marketing and this person knows what they're doing. I would like to connect with you. I would like to send you a message. Those are ways people also get people. Sometimes as a designer, people show their designs. They'll say, oh, I designed for, there's a guy on Twitter now that designs for, I'm trying to remember the name of the app, Issa app, right? The person used to work for Rise Vest before, and then the person used to post the design he does every week, and it's always interesting. In fact, I bookmarked it and said, oh, I'll probably use this guy in the future because I like his designs. So that's another way of getting client. As you can see, he has gotten a client unknowingly by sharing his design, because I have bookmarked it and said, oh, in future, I'm going to reach out to this guy because we have a business and I like his designs. And I'll probably, so you can see that for me, this time around, I am the client because he shared his work. So pushing out your content on social media helps, whether LinkedIn, whether X, and if you can do videos, fantastic, because videos will get you more engagement, right? You can do videos, you can, talk about what you do, the lessons you've learned, and a couple of other things. You never know, somebody can DM you. So that's another way at which you can also use to acquire clients. Another way is on Instagram, do your Boolean search. If you're looking for maybe a research job, maybe you want to look for NGOs, just go to Instagram, on the search box, type NGO. Once you type NGO, all the NGOs that are on Instagram will come out. Then you can start sending them DM. But the problem is that Instagram, if you send a DM to a foreign company on Instagram, Instagram will flag you as, if you are from Africa, especially in Nigeria. I don't know why. Instagram is going to flag you and say that you are a fraud, or I've gotten the word like, don't do business with this account, right? So again, it might not work for, especially if you are targeting a foreign company. Imagine if you're a foreign company and you get that kind of DM that says, oh, this account might seem compromised. Don't engage this account. The person might feel like you're a scam. So I would say that Instagram is a little bit tricky in that aspect. Um, the XDM, I'm not too sure, right? For LinkedIn as well. LinkedIn is much more better. You will not get those kind of responses on LinkedIn telling you that you're spam or something like that, because that platform is designed for you to actually reach out to people. Another thing I also do on LinkedIn is to get clients is that I look at all my first connections, right? I'm sure Aisha has gotten one of my messages before one time. So so she has gotten one of my messages before one time. So I look at my first connections. I look at those that I think would fit the profile of who I am looking to engage. So what I do is I just search, for instance, maybe I'm looking for somebody in customer success. I just go to my search bar on LinkedIn, I type customer success. Once I type customer success, all the people who are customer success will come out. However, you see first connection, second connection, and third connection. Second and third are connections that you are not connected with. So most likely you cannot reach out to them in DM, you cannot get their email address. And if you are not subscribed to premium, you can't actually send them any sort of DM except you connect with them directly, right? So what I do is I just look for all the people in my first connections who are customer success, customer management, and I individually send them a DM and just look at their profile, send them a DM according to what they are doing or whatever I want to reach out to them for, right? Like I said, the law of surface area, do more and get more. So can reach out to 50 people, 100 people. I think the first time I started a newsletter last year, I think people on my LinkedIn, I reached out to nothing less than 500 people on my LinkedIn. That my first connection. And out of the 500 people that I reached out to, about 100 of them subscribed to the newsletter. So I'm just trying to say like practical things that you can approach. Again, when you are sending people a message, you don't want to like sell to them in the first. So you also need to look at those principles, which are very important, right? There's a video that trended yesterday, between yesterday and the first yesterday, if you've seen it, about a lady on TikTok that sells bag, and she was saying, "Oh, website designer, people are disturbing me. Oh, you're always sending me DM. All of you have the same templates. Nobody should send me DM. I just want to sell bags. I don't want to build websites, right? I don't need websites. It's like all of you went to the same WhatsApp group and you want me to build a website." So for those kind of clients, right? The problem was that the people that were reaching out to her were just telling her that they wanted to build a website, that she should have a website. That's all. But to her, her own immediate need is that she just wants to sell a bag, right? That's her own problem, not having a website. For someone like that, she probably does her business on Instagram DM, TikTok DMs, or WhatsApp. So why should she move to a website? And why should you, as a freelance developer, be reaching out to her for? So there was a misalignment. If I was a web developer, I would just tell her that. I'll just reach out. I'll just say, "Oh, you're making 200K now. Do you know that if you build a website, you can make 500K? Your commitment is only 100K." And as a business owner, I'll think, "Oh, if I'm making 200, if I'm going to make, if I'm making 200K now and I pay a designer 100K and I'm able to make 500K, I think that that makes a lot of sense as a business person in my head, right?" So, as a web person too, you are also a salesperson, right? As a UX UI person, you are a freelancer, you are also a salesperson. As a copywriter, you are also a salesperson. No, if what you are doing does not convert to money in the eyes of a business person that are reaching out to, you are wasting your time. You need to tell me where the money is. If you tell me you are a copywriter, you need to tell me in that message that you're sending to me, right, as a freelancer, that if you use me as your copywriter today as we are speaking, I can bet it with you that your engagement will increase from 50K to 1 million views, or you will get 20 more customers in the next 30 days. As a business person or as a person operating a business that you're trying to reach out to, I would not want to say no. I would want to sit down and have a conversation and say, let me listen to what you're actually saying, right? I want to understand what you are saying. So most likely I would reply to your message and say, "Oh, let's get on a call. Let me see what you're trying to propose to me." Because now you're talking about what interests me as a business owner, which is money. Because obviously, as a freelancer, it's not your colleague that you'll be selling to. Maybe one or two times your colleague will buy from you, but yeah, mostly reaching out to founders, right? and you're mostly reaching out to business owners as a freelancer. So that's something you need to take into context. You are first and foremost, you are a salesperson. Your goal or your job is to get someone to reply your first message that you send out. Once you get someone to reply, you also look at the fact that, oh, somebody has replied me. I was able to get clients through this kind of message. I will just repurpose this same message and send it to other people, right? So that I can get more clients to work with. So these are like great ways to get the clients that you want and put in the business. Another way to go about it is if you don't have energy, you don't have stress for this long journey, all these things that show that look like they're too techy, run paid ads, right? There are people that run paid ads that I know. Run paid ads and tell people that I am a consultant, I'm an accountant and a consultant. I can take your business from 0 to 100K in 2 months. Just bring me on board. Run Instagram ads, Facebook ads. But then again, that means that you need to learn about advertising, right? You need to know how to run ads. So if you run ads, you can also get clients as a freelancer if you are running ads as well. So that also works, but you need to have a good offer as well. Just like when you are trying to code email, what's a good offer? So you are an SEO, you do SEO optimization. A good offer will be telling somebody that, oh, if you work with me for the next 3 months as an SEO person, I'm going to guarantee that your sales are going to increase from 100K to 200K in the next 3 months. Your conversions will increase from 50K to 100K. And I'm just going to, instead of giving all these things for you for 1 million naira, I'm just going to bond it for you for 200,000, and you work with me for the next 3 months. And I can guarantee you that it will work. So a lot of people, I've seen people buy something worth of 3 million, 5 million on social media. What am I even saying? People have bought land from social, people have bought like buildings from social media that are worth 50 million, 100 million, 200 million from social media without even meeting the person. What's that word that they're using? Koro koro, without meeting the person with your two eyes. You paid that much. So social media is like, think of it like very broad. If you advertise, I'm certain that there's somebody out there that has that money, but it's just your ability to reach that person that has that money. But again, it's not everybody that is your target audience, right? Just some people that you believe that, based on your research, based on where you work with, are the kind of people that I want to. So do advertising, get clients from advertising. Um, you, let's say you don't have advertising money. If you don't have advertising money, go back to what we talked about in terms of content. Do a lot more content, post a lot more, talk about what you do a lot more. If you can't do any one of that, you hate social media, not a social media person, I can't really help you. But the next thing I can advise you to do is look for people within your network, right? One of the easiest place for those of us who are Christians or Muslims is our place of worship, right? Your place of worship is a great way to also pitch yourself to people, right? The church or the mosque is a community. And I know that there are people in the church, and you see the cars that some people drive, you know that money they their hand, right? Those are people that you can pitch to, right? But again, you still also have to establish being in a, you also have to be a community, you also have to be in the church community. And I don't mean, oh, when you finish church, you have carried your bag, you have left. You can't be that person. You have a goal. So be in the church community. You probably want to join a church group or maybe a group in, your place of worship. And you also want to be a little bit more vocal about what you do. There are a lot of people in my church that know what I do. In fact, I invite some people to some of the events and the things that I do in my church so that they know that this is what I do. If you have this business, I should be the first person that you should reach out to. And I'm very loud about what I do. So the church is also a good place to also, that there's also a community, and then you can also like get leads from as well, right? It's one of the easiest places to do that as well. Within your friends, I'm not sure friends, right? Because it's a little bit dicey. I think people outside your friends are the people who would use you. Your friends are your supporters. They are the people that if you post content today, they like, they share. Good job, you are trying. Don't worry, customer will meet you one day. They are your supporters, but they rarely buy from you. Maybe if your family members like you so well that maybe they like you and they just want to support you, they'll buy from you, right? They might even lie that you're doing a good job and maybe you're not doing a good job. So I'll prefer like you going outside your comfort zone. Look for acquaintances. Acquaintances are people who are not necessarily close to you, but you've established a certain level of connection with them, probably via meeting them via an event or friends of a friend. So those are another way. Other ways for you to also get clients is to attend more events in your sector. So I would advise attend tech events if you are in tech, meet more people, have more conversation, have your card in handy. If you don't have a card, have some sort of QR code. That sorry, some people are doing party in my area. So I think that I have come to the end of this session, and I hope that um, we've learned something. So thank you very much. If there are any questions, I'm open to answering them.
Thank you so much, Mr. Seun. Grateful, great insights. And it was very practical. I enjoyed it. One of the things that you said that really stuck was be loud about what you do. I don't think many of us are very loud about me, for example. I'm one of those people that just wants to do my work and just move on. There's a question here from Mrs. Aisha. She says, how do we overcome, sorry, I'm trying to, let me get it clearly. How do we overcome client objections? This is a question for you, sir.
Okay, so client objections, there are two ways I do it. Uh, One way I do it is I try to address the client's objection from the onset while sending my first message. I address the objection immediately while sending the first message. But if it comes after, sometimes objections can be a price issue. Price, when I mean price, maybe it is too expensive for them. So sometimes when they say, "Oh, I am not interested," I want to ask, I would like to know, is it the price that is not allowing us to go forward with this conversation? So you could ask, like, is this a price challenge? Because some people, or is price is their challenge. The price you give to them is their challenge. So you want to ask that, is it the price that is the challenge? If you have some sort of offering that you can offer them that is within their budget, you'll be happy to, you know, let them know about it. And then sometimes if it's not a price issue, basically just ask them why they did not go ahead with the conversation. Now you can then use that why and then we send another email again to be able to address what that their objection is. It works for me sometimes. Another way is by the beginning of my first message, I address the objection because I already know that you don't know me from Adam, and you possibly do not need my services at that moment, or you probably have somebody else engaged on that service. So I try to say address it and say that something around like, oh, I know that you possibly this is possibly not a need at this moment, but I'm sure that you would like to explore X X X X X X X. So I'm already addressing the fact that I know that you probably are going to say no because probably you have a preconceived notion about me. So for instance, I have a brand that I am running, and most of the one question that people usually ask us about the brand is that you guys are new to the market. Why should we pay you this amount? We can go to other people, right? That they charge less, they are older, and they've been in the business for 20 years. But you are new and you are already charging us this amount. Like, can you show us why we should charge you this amount? Remember, pricing is value, right? we are not offering the same value as the older guys. And I know the value that we are offering as a business. And I don't know about those other people, but I know the value that our business offer. So what I do at that moment is I tell them what the value of what we currently have without saying that, these people are not good enough or we are better than that. So it's not about the better, it's about how much value I'm able to offer you as a business. When you ask me that, oh, you just started, why should I charge you? So it's about the value again and again. The people that really want, that really like what you are doing, they will always engage you. The people that ask too many questions, at the end of the day, when you engage them, sometimes just return their money back because they're troublesome clients. The people that really want your services, they already see the value as of the time you were engaging them. If somebody is asking too much questions about what you do, that means that they probably did not see the value. There was an advert I did recently, and in that advert, I addressed one of the challenges, which was this: we were talking about the fact that, or people are saying, "Oh, you are new." In that advert, I ensured that the script had we. I know that we are new, so you will not come back to the DM and come and say, "Oh, you people are new." No, the new challenge has been addressed in the ad already. So your question will now be, how do I engage you further? How do I see what you have done? So it's not be a question of new again, because that new has been taken off the plate. So those are some of the ways that I address, or you can address client objections. And then sometimes it's part of the game. People would always say, no, I don't want your services. Is it painful? Yes, it's painful. But at the end of the day, you just take your L, like they say, like Jesus say, take your L and go and reach out to more people. Yeah. I hope that answers the question.
Thank you, sir. I hope that answers the question. I have a question for you. How do freelancers deal with imposter syndrome? You talked about putting ourselves out there. How do we deal with imposter syndrome? Because many times what's standing in the way is that imposter syndrome. Hello, sir. Can anyone hear me? Just to confirm it's not my network.
Yes, I can hear you. I think he left
Okay,
briefly.
we went off. Okay, Mr. Sean, can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you now. Sorry, my network went
Oh,
off.
sorry. Did you get the question?
No, 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 no.
Okay, so I was asking that how do freelancers deal with imposter syndrome, seeing that many times the reason why most people don't post is because of that syndrome. We have imposter syndrome. So how do we deal with that?
I think I believe I talked similarly in that line before, where I said that the people that need you, right? Or I'll just first thing, like, I know this is cliche, but Nike says just do it. Just do it means just post the content. That's your first step in overcoming that syndrome. Post it first, right? But know that people might not like your post and they might not engage your post, and it's okay. You need to be okay with that. You need to be okay with the fact that you will post and people will not. You need to be okay. In fact, I used to like my own post. I used to comment on my own post and I like my own post. Right? You are going out and you stand in the mirror. I tell you, say, oh, you're looking handsome today. Your shoe is nice. You don't need to wait for an external validation to tell you that, oh, you look nice today. If you wait, you go wait tire, right? But I would say that you are first your own advocate, right? Post, like it yourself, share it on your status, tell people, or you just posted newly. You are in a community like the African freelancers community, right? it's a supportive community. So definitely the people in the community will support what you are doing. If at all other people don't support you, right? If you tell them, oh, you just posted this content, I'm sure that there are people in the community that would engage the content. So that's one way. Another way is just post it, right? I would tell you that even for the best public speakers, they still get jittery once they want to get on stage, right? No matter how perfect you are as a professional, if you get a new job right now, you are going to face that same imposter syndrome, right? Even though you're an expert, you probably have 15 years experience, but you just became the CEO of Access Bank. I want to think that the first day, you're just first going to sit down, you're first going to be thinking that how do I go about this? You might know it off the top of your head as an experienced person, but at that moment, you'll be like, you don't know that now you be CEO of this company. Oh, how do I run things? Right? So I'm saying that even the biggest of people still have to face imposter syndrome. It's not for just maybe talents that are starting out or mid-level career. Even people with high-level careers, they have imposter syndrome. Because I mean, it's even worse if you are a higher level because you are a decision maker and you are being paid to make accurate decisions. So if you don't make good decisions as a senior leader, there's going to be problems. So imagine you being in a very high position and you're taking over 500 plus staff, right? And you've never done that before. Maybe that's your first time in being a CEO of a 500 plus staff. I want to wonder how you're going to think on the first day, even if you are the perfect person, you first think, 500 people. So I'll say imposter syndrome, do it with imposter syndrome. Send it in. There are sometimes that when I want to send cold emails to people, I always feel awkward, right? And I feel like if I send this thing, would people respond or would they answer me or is it bad, right? So I always feel that way. But at the end of the day, doing the there's a book that I read some years ago. It's called Eat Your Frog, right? And in Eat Your Frog, it talks about the what's that parental rule about 80-20 rule. 20% of what you do gives you 80% of the results that you see, right? So the reaching out to clients and getting clients is the 20% that gives you the 80% of the result that you. So it is the hardest part of the entire circle of getting clients. Reaching out to clients and acquiring them, that is the hardest part. And in that Eat Your Frog, it specifically says something about doing the tough things first because they are the ones that, especially the ones that give you the highest amount of returns. So the top things are those things that we need to do, you and I need to do to ensure that we get clients constantly, right? Talk to people, have conversation with people. Those are the hard parts, right? They say the money is in the follow up, right? So a lot of times I follow up with people. In fact, there was someone I followed up with yesterday night for an engagement that I thought that had died off. But I just said, my guy, how far? Oh? You talk say you go, your company go do this thing. You will never do them. And he was like, that no, that when is your event? Don't worry, we are going to deal with you people. And I was like, what about if I didn't go ahead to reach out to this person and I just dead out the conversation and just say, well, I don't think I feel somehow if I'm reaching out to the person. No. So the the growth that you're looking for is in the stress that you have. Let's put it that way. So if you want the growth, you need to do the work, and you have to do it with the imposter syndrome, whether you like it or not. Unless, I mean, I'm sure that your landlord, whether or not you're making money, he is going to send you increments. Those of us that live in Lagos, I'm sure that by end of the year you see your increment. And no landlord is going to get a client did not come. Oh, there's no client. Oh. So as the landlord, the landlord is sending you something. You know when they say this person is working like their rent is due, prospect like your rent is due tomorrow. And I can bet it with you. You can come back and tell me that if you reach out to 100 people this month, one person will answer you. Except maybe Yoruba will say, "Nkomi Wambe." one person as bad as a bad rate, one person will reach out to you. Like it can't be that terrible, right? If they're wearing social media and we had to walk around the streets of Lagos, if you go to 100 offices, one person will open door for you. All of them cannot close door to you and say you cannot enter the office, you cannot see our oga, because that's what used to happen before social media. Now there's social media. I can enter your guy's DM. I don't need to go to your guy's office. I can enter his DM. I can pull out his email from different apps like I did. Who needs to go to your I don't need to go to your gate and be knocking, right? But before then, people had to go to people's offices physically and be knocking and say, do you have a vacancy? They drop their CV. They will go to like 100 offices. One person will definitely answer. One person will answer. And you just it might be cliche, but they say you just need one person to answer you. That's just it. So that's the way I see it, right? Yeah. I hope that
Thank you
answered
so
the
much,
question.
sir. Yes, yes, yes. Thank you very much. Do you have any other questions? Any other questions? Okay. I think that's about it. Thank you everyone for joining in the webinar. If you are yet to be part of our community, I'll be dropping the link in the chat box so you can just click and fill the form, and we'll be glad. We are glad to have you. Thank you so much for joining in. Looking forward to hosting you in our next webinar holding soon. You'll get the details. And you'll also get the slides and the recording in your inbox as well. Have a beautiful Saturday. Bye, everyone.